Human beings live in suffering. They create a world that is divided, that is conflicted. If you can become free of suffering, nurture a beautiful state in your consciousness, you're actually contributing to a peaceful and a more beautiful world. And I think the world needs it today.
Welcome to the Dr. Espen podcast. I'm your host, Espen. Today I'm joined by Sri Preethaji. She's joining us from India, and today we're going to talk about the Oneness Movement. We're going to have a conversation around what it means to expand our consciousness, to open up our hearts, and to learn what it is that we need to learn to step into living in the beautiful state. Sri Preethaji and Sri Krishnaji are enlightened sages. They're mystics and original philosophers out of India. They are the co-founders of Oneness, which is a movement that is awakening millions of people around the world to emotional well-being, mental wellness, loving relationships, inner peace, and spiritual enlightenment. They are sought after for their global peace efforts, which has transformed the lives of more than 30 million people now. They're authors of the text called The Four Sacred Secrets, which became a national bestseller in the United States and provides practical guidance and personal transformation, emotional healing, and of course, spiritual growth. And together, they travel the world and they teach amazing principles of spiritual awakening, healing, and as we've just heard, emotional, mental, and physical well-being. So Sri Preethaji, I want to say a special welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm very good. Namaste. It's so wonderful to be on your show back again, Dr. Espen. It's beautiful to connect with you and definitely your audience.
Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure. Namaste indeed. We had a chat many years ago and, I follow your work for many years now. I know some of the teachers that I look to for advice also follow your work. And I had a privilege many years ago to assist in one of your events as an MC. And I remember the energy at that event in Australia was just phenomenal. And so I want to, again, thank you for your time and being here. I want to ask the first question. I think it's pertinent to start here. When we talk about this movement, the mission that you're on and what you guys stand for, can you tell us a little bit about the Oneness Movement?
The vision of Oneness Movement is to create a shift in human consciousness. Our vision is to create 80,000 enlightened people who can live in a state of unperturbed calm, irrespective of life and life's challenges. And we see when 80,000 people can live in that state, then there would be a phase transition in humanity's consciousness away from suffering, division, and disconnection to experiencing connection, peace, and oneness. That is our vision in gist. But then we see it actually getting into lives. We're not looking at creating enlightened hermits who are living outside, renounce the world, who are all by themselves in the forest and living in that state. We want to create these enlightened beings who are in the thick of the world, who can live as enlightened parents, enlightened teachers, enlightened doctors, enlightened whatever you're doing in your life. But from that enlightened state, we want you to live and impact your lives, impact other people's lives with your state of being. So that is our vision. And we have a pictorial depiction of this vision, which is Buddha driving an eco-friendly Benz and traveling with your loved ones in this eco-friendly Benz. You're not alone. Here, Buddha refers to the profound state of consciousness from which you can live your life. And the Benz refers to the effortlessness of life when you live in that state. When you live in a state of unperturbed calm and responding to your life from that unperturbed calm. And it's going to be a very smooth, beautiful flow. So you're creating success, achievement, wealth, love, everything from that state. And you're able to create it easily. You're able to keep it. You're able to nurture it. And you're not alone. It's not being hermits all alone. It's you are traveling and journeying with your family. So Buddha driving an eco-friendly Benz along with your loved ones is the pictorial depiction of what our vision is.
This is beautiful. Why the 80,000? And will that be the point where humanity collectively reaches that critical mass consciousness?
It's a 0.001% of humanity's population. And that is big if they can live in that state. And it would definitely not just stop with themselves. It would impact so many people across distance, across different different parts of the globe, different cultures, different religion. Because, we're just not individuals. We are also consciousness. We are energy. We are frequency. And one is able to live in that state, the impact that one can create is huge. And as I mentioned, it's 0.001% of humanity's population. It is basically like say, a lake getting into ice in winter. Usually it is a very slow process. If you start observing it, it's like one droplet after another droplet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until a certain point when the entire lake becomes a sheet of ice after having reached that particular point. And we see that it would happen if 80,000 people can live in that state.
Wonderful. Well, we're working towards the outcome.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone, just not us. We have a huge, it's a huge ecosystem. Oneness is not just individuals. It is a huge, humongous ecosystem that is working at different levels, different touch points, different trainers doing beautiful state courses. It's like a huge work that is happening across all religions, across all regions, across all geographical locations. And it's very beautiful to see so many inspired people actually impacting the world.
Yeah, excellent. Now you, from previous work, I remember you speak of a beautiful state. And so we have the two different states of the nervous system. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about what it means to live in a beautiful state, and also what blocks or challenges people can face that's pulling them away from living in a beautiful state.
So, beautiful state is a state you can experience it as calm, joy, love, connection, gratitude, appreciation, peace. These are all beautiful states in consciousness. Like you experience it, and there is a very profound joy in that experience of yourself when you are in that state. And when you are in a beautiful state, you tend to create life around you also to be very beautiful. That is, you are in that space of connection, either to life or to people. Then you're able to respond to life, you're able to respond to people in that state. There is also great intelligence in the response that you give. And life feels effortless, life feels very beautiful. And when you live more and more in a beautiful state, life feels very fulfilling. So there is no question of meaninglessness or purposelessness. All that is kind of gone when you begin to nurture a beautiful state in consciousness. But unfortunately, a large number of people all across the world in different parts, wherever they are, tend to get sucked into a state of stress, a state of anxiety, of fear, a loneliness, anger, frustration, irritation, boredom, guilt, regret, pain, hurt, disappointment. They get sucked into that. And the more you move into it, easy for you to be there. The more you are in anger or in anxiety, you're effortlessly carried into that state again and again and again. Your inner experience is just not limited to what you're experiencing. Each of the state has a frequency. And what we have seen is life throws back similar situations, brings back those similar situations in your life to keep you in that same frequency of stress and anxiety. So, if you want to create a new life, if you want to create a life with great abundance of love or joy, or if you want to create a very meaningful life, it is not possible for you to do that when you are immersed so much in a state of stress and anxiety, which we call it suffering. The entire spectrum of suffering is everything, anything where you feel an inner disturbance. So, the more you are in suffering, the more you are pushed into suffering, the brain is getting accustomed, your body is getting accustomed, and even your consciousness is moving away from what it is truly capable of. And you are feeling very limited and you are feeling suffocated. You feel, frustrated around life, and living becomes very meaningless. And not only that, your responses that arise from a state of suffering, from a state of anxiety or fear or frustration or anger or hurt, any response that is arising from that it is not the right response that you're going to give to life. And it is in turn going to create another set of frustration, another set of anxiety. It's kind of, living the life within a limited experience because you are stuck in these stressful states. So to kind of break open or break free from that limitations and immerse in a place of a beautiful state again and again and again, that was what is going to create a beautiful life for you. So I know that everyone is focused on creating a very beautiful life, and the way they go about it is either strategies or they go about strategies, they go about, putting hard work, learning a skill. But the most important skill is the state. You cannot live in feeling frustrated around in life and think that you can create a beautiful external life. They don't go along. Your frustration will lead you into making wrong choices, wrong decisions, wrong actions, and constantly push you into that place of, getting muddled up in problems and suffering and problems and suffering. So if you want to create a beautiful life, it is important that you are able to break free of the stressful states and live in beautiful state.
What then is the relationship between, let's say, collective suffering and individual karma? Because we have this interesting concept of karma, and then we have us being tapped into a field of a collective vibration. How do you see the two?
There is individual karma, there is family karma, there is collective karma, there is the karma of the nation, there is the karma of your community. So, depending upon your identity, you are actually tapping into that particular frequency and you are moving into creating similar karmic flow and similar karmic patterns. That is why, if you observe in the recent field of awakening, one of the processes that we led people was through the karmic patterns that is flowing in the families. I mean, it was a very profound experience for so many people. I think this happened in Verona in Italy just before week. So it is like you tune into that particular frequency and the particular karmic pattern, and the way to kind of shift it, what Sri Krishnaji and I say is through your state. Right now, if you listen to the word karma, it feels a little overwhelming for many of them because it is basically trying to reap the fruits of one's actions, and suppose they performed wrong actions or bad actions and they're at the receiving end of life, and to kind of change the patterns that is repeating in your life. We have a way, we have a path, and that is through your state. A deeper understanding of that would be is when your state changes, the karmic patterns, it takes a new flow.
This is great. Really useful tools for us to realize and how to do that. So when it comes to this beautiful state, let's say that someone is frustrated, that they're in a frustrated situation in their relationships, they're in a job that they don't like. We could say, yes, we can sit down and meditate and do the many powerful practices. What are some of the things, though, that you've found to be most effective? Maybe some of the tools that you use in Field of Awakening, which is your event. I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of the strategies that people might be able to implement to access and remain in a beautiful state.
So, the field of awakening, what it does is it creates a powerful opening in one's consciousness to wake up. That is, to wake up from the deep slumber of suffering. So, if you're getting muddled up in one suffering state after the other suffering states, and you really don't know, you feel like totally locked up. And the field of awakening, the 4-day experience, it's actually opening up your consciousness, to allowing you to go beyond all limitations and ignorance into a very profound state in consciousness. You experience limitless joy, you experience costless love, or you move into profound states of being a witness. So these are states that we lead people through. When you it is like going into the other end of the spectrum. Because if you think of one end of the spectrum is suffering, the other end of the spectrum is freedom, liberation, oneness, and all that. So field of awakening is like kind of taking you in this 4 days and giving you that profound experience to break free of all those limitations that you have got caught up in your brain, in your mind, in your consciousness, to show you that there is a different experience of life possible. And it gives an opening. It gives an opening for people to bring awareness, to nurture a beautiful state, to kind of step back from suffering, to look at suffering, not to get carried into the vortex of suffering. It is more like a gravitational pull, the suffering is. If you're used to it, you're accustomed to it, you're habituated to it, you're sometimes addicted to it. It is like sucking you all the time. With the slightest difference in the external, you move into the same space of suffering again. So field of awakening gives you that space to create a distance between you and that which you're experiencing, between you and your suffering, between you and the experiences in your consciousness. Even without that, I would say these two meditations together, that is the Serene Mind practice and the Soul Sync meditation. Serene Mind practice, 3-minute practice. It's a practice of awareness, but very easy, very simple, very palpable experience for people who do it. It is incredibly powerful for the changes it can bring in the brain and the ability to open up a different region in your brain. It's mystical, scientific, everything. So Serene Mind practice every time you move into stress, and the Soul Sync meditation to kind of nurture a beautiful state, a state of expansion. And not only that, it's like a little mini temple that you're creating within yourself every day. You're creating this beautiful inner experience, which is calming your body, your mind, expanding your consciousness. And in that space, you hold an intention that you want to see manifest in your life. And then you manifest that particular intention. So the Soul Sync meditation and the Serene Mind practice, whether you've gone through a field of awakening or you are very new to oneness itself or very new to anything spiritual, I think these two practices are incredibly powerful for you to open up to a beautiful state of consciousness and not to continue to wire the suffering and the stress in your body and your mind, knowing your suffering and your stress is causing disease everywhere in your body, in your mind, in your consciousness. And it kind of allows you to step past, kind of, take your inner state in control and hold a beautiful vision for your inner state and get back to a place of calm again and again. So these two practices I would highly, highly recommend. The Serene Mind practice and the Soul Sync meditation. It's all available and we can send you the link as well.
I'm so glad you reminded me of this, because when my son, he is now 6, almost 7, when he was only a baby, I was practicing the Soul Sync. So if you're listening to this, the Soul Sync, SYNC, and you can find it on YouTube. I was practicing the Soul Sync multiple times a day for months and months and months, and sometimes once a day, and sometimes I'd skip a day, but regularly for a very long time. And I remember I used to walk him in the pram when he was only a baby, and I would play the Soul Sync on my phone as we walked down to the beach, and I absolutely loved it. It's a short, very powerful meditation, takes us through multiple stages. And what I love about this, and because so many people, even our students, will say, I can't meditate because my mind's too busy. And then I say, well, that means you're doing it right, because the mind is not supposed to be still and perfect all the time. If it's busy and it wanders off, come back. What I loved about the Soul Sync, which I didn't see in any other meditations, is the use of the fingers. So for each breath you breathe in and you touch the thumb to the index finger and thumb to the middle finger. And that continuously anchored me in presence. And so I absolutely love the Soul Sync. So if you're listening to this, go and try the Soul Sync. Give it a go every day for 30 days and see how you feel. Is it still the same using the fingers?
Absolutely. So it kind of improves the bodily awareness. As you're bringing the touch, you become present to it. You're present to your breath. You're present to this sensation that is arising. You begin, it's a very beautiful meditation because it is building. It's just not for that it is just not for that 12 minutes that you're doing that you're going to be good. The next time you're going to practice it, it's going to get better. That is, your awareness deepens. It is a practice that is for life, and it is a practice that can get you deeper and deeper into your state, and it allows you to emerge into being more aware because that is all integrated into the practice itself.
Thank you for the reminder. I'm going to be doing the Soul Sync tonight.
It's a very beautiful practice. You can do it any time of the day. You can do it in the morning. You can do it at night. Think of the intention that you want to manifest, because when you move into that powerful state, that is the actual secret of manifesting your intention. Not positive thinking, but actually moving into that space of expansion. And that is where Soul Sync takes you. And in that space, it's very beautiful to hold a heartfelt intention that you want to see manifest.
Thank you so much. We're going to add the link to those resources in the show notes. Absolutely. Now, I started practicing yoga, 20 plus years ago. More than that, actually, almost 30 years ago now. And I became a yoga teacher, and I learned so much about the philosophy. Honestly, now we're seeing a rise of meditation globally. We know the benefits. We know that we need to, should be, and many of us are meditating. We're also seeing what the ancient mystics, the ancient yogis, were talking to us about breath. What have you seen when it comes to breathing, to prana, Kundalini energy? I want you just to take us through that process in regards to some of the sacred teachings that maybe some of which you're sharing as well.
Breath is more like the reins of a horse. It allows you to kind of control your mind that can go crazy this way and that way. So breath is a very incredible tool that we use, and I'm sure every meditation practitioner uses, to impact the mind and consciousness. It is more like a mystic triangle. On one side of the triangle is the breath, the other side of the triangle is the mind, and the third side of the triangle we can see is the Kundalini, or the experiences, various experiences that is possible in your consciousness. So if you impact one side, that is how you're impacting the other side. You can impact your mind through insights and wisdom. You can impact your Kundalini with seeing a diksha where you have the diksha giver kind of rise your Kundalini higher up against the gravity. Or you impact your breath, and you'll be impacting both your mind and the Kundalini. So it is a three-sided mystic triangle. And when you begin breathing, it's just not breathing in air and breathing out air. Like it is like, you're taking in the prana, or the subtle energy of the universe into your being. And only when you're able to flood your entire being with prana, that is when higher states are possible. You would have actually noticed that when you are low in prana, you have not breathed well. It is like, not able to bring attention, your concentration is not fine, you're not able to focus, you're getting distracted all the time. So kind of pulling in the prana of the universe. It is the interaction that you as an individual are having with the universe, or the subtle energy of the universe. And breath is incredibly beautiful. And what I feel is when people are not even able to sit down and meditate, I hear it all the time. It's difficult for us, and I can't meditate. We can't close our eyes. We can't do this. We can't do that. When all those things happen, I would say, okay, just don't do anything. Just take 8 breaths. That is enough. Sometimes we start even with 1 breath, especially when people are going through a difficult crisis, or like they're feeling unsettled, overwhelmed, or something is happening. So breath is such a calming factor. And it's more palpable than being able to observe the mind or awaken the Kundalini. So we always say breath is such a beautiful element in every meditation practice.
What secrets of the ancient yogic traditions do you think has been hidden for a long time that's now being revealed?
The various practices that the yogis have done in order to kind of nurture, you can start with, say, a beautiful state, and actually it doesn't stop there to experience the transcendence, to go beyond that, to move into powerful states of oneness. All those, we can call it a kriya, we can call it a putting, like coming together of various practices, meditations, wisdom. I mean, so much of the world was not interested in spirituality for the largest part. We were people who are only interested on what the external can bring us, how much of pleasure we can have, how much more we can have. That has been our direction, except for India, which has been a land. They always ask the question, who am I? When the rest of the world focused on, say, the creating, being a powerful economy based, a capitalism economy, or some other countries based on working on, say, technology, or so different ideologies, India has for long been asking this question, like, who am I? Like, what is this? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Where is God? So these are the questions that Indians over here have kind of dwelled on. The experiences of the past yogis is just not limited to survival or pleasure or control. That is not their focus. That has not been their experience. They had very powerful experiences in consciousness. They had experiences of oneness, experiences of the divine, experiences of being one with nature, being one with flow, having the heart expand, seeing the divine in their hearts. There's so many powerful experiences. And the path we lead people through, wherever people are coming in touch with us, is to actually let them know that life need not be so limited. There is a huge rainbow of experiences that is awaiting in your consciousness, which you are capable of experiencing. And we kind of lead people through these powerful practices and processes so that they can also immerse in these powerful states and live also from those powerful states.
Now, I just came back from India last month.
Where were you in?
I went to Delhi and then we flew to Indore.
Indore.
And then we went, so one of the managers on my team, he's from India.
Okay.
And he works with some amazing mystics over there, Brahmins. And we flew over and we visited a 1,000-year-old temple in Indore along one of the ley lines along the river. And we had a private ceremony with 30 Brahmins.
Okay.
Invoking Shiva and praying and offering. It was, the chanting was so beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about your understanding of the power of sound and chanting and why the ancient mystics use it and what it really is?
Chants are basically a language to speak to the divine, to the greater power. And not only that, when you're saying that as you're listening to those chants, it was incredibly beautiful, it puts you into a state. As you truly immerse in those chants, you are getting into a very powerful state of communion with the divine. It is a language of communication. Every chant, every ritual is part of that communication to the universal intelligence, to the larger intelligence of this entire universe, the divine, God, however you want to call. And there is a way of reaching out, communicating. And that is something that has been passed on from one generation to another for thousands of years. Even today, when the dasas in India at EKAM, they do a homa, they chant, they invoke the gods, and a homa is usually done if somebody wants a particular outcome of the homa, and they chant and invoke those particular gods, and then offer offering. Offering to those gods and manifesting those particular intentions. It's a very beautiful experience. I don't know if they've measured it or not, but in terms of frequency, your energy, your Kundalini, where it is, your breath, it's impacting you at every realm.
I felt just the same, and I love using my voice and I love the chants. And I was actually looking up the other day using ChatGPT in regards to my blueprint and the chants that I resonate with, and it created some really special ones. There's one that I say every Sunday, which is Om Anantaya Namaha, and so on.
Such a beautiful thing. Anantaya Namaha, you're all.
Yeah. Yeah, and just beautiful experience. Can you tell us about the chakra system? I want to talk a little bit more about the field of awakening and the events that you've got coming up soon. But I just want to know about the chakra system. I think this has been, I say to my students, knowing about meditation doesn't really take you that far. Sitting in practice with your breath and focusing on, being in a beautiful state will take you much further. Similarly, knowing about the chakras doesn't necessarily create an impact. What are some of the experiences that you've had, and will you share some knowledge about the subtle energy bodies and the chakra systems? Because I think many of us are starting to realize that we are energy. It's not just the body. Mm-hmm. So how does the chakras work? And tell us what you know about them, please.
See, we're just not this human body for sure. There are many sheets of body. There is the Pranamaya kosha, or the energy body. Then you have Manonmaya kosha, or the mind body. Then Karmamaya kosha, or the karmic body. Vijnanamaya kosha, or the wisdom body. Then Anandamaya kosha, or the bliss body. It is more like the Russian doll, one inside the other. The tiniest of the doll that you see is the human body. So this pranic body has 72,000 nerve currents and many chakras. And basically, chakra means a wheel, right? It looks like a wheel in the pranic realm. And they are basically clusters when these nerve clusters are coming together in certain parts. And they look like a wheel, and they are the chakras. We focus, there are many chakras. We focus on many different chakras. And the manifest process that I lead every month online for people all across the globe, the virtual process that I lead online is chakra based. That is, it is focused on 12 chakras. And each of this chakra has a potential that you awaken to. And not only that, it is just not about activating that region and filling a prana. It is also creating, because each chakra is creating a field. So if your chakra is not vibrating well, you can be stuck with a feeling of insecurity. If your chakra is not vibrating well in the belly region, the Manipura chakra over there, you would be stuck with an experience of fear or aggression. If your chakra is not vibrating well at your Anahata, which is your heart chakra, then you experience loneliness or you experience a lack of love all the time. So it's just not about, of course, our mind says you need to find the person to feel love, or you need to have a good experience financially to feel secure, or you need to be powerful in order not to feel fear. That's how our mind logically says. What we work on is actually impacting these chakras. So in these chakras, not only it is the energy, it is also the state that is getting stuck, and it's keeping you in that state. So a release or a vibrational release of that particular chakra not only stops with kind of you feeling good, you feeling secure, you feeling powerful, but each of these chakras also are creating a field. Because we are not just limited to the body and our thoughts and what is going inside. We are a field, we are part of the field, and we are interacting with the field. And these chakras are like the powerful antennas that are interacting with the field, and it is sending out signals into this field. So that is where you bring in people into your life, you bring in situations into your life which would keep you in that place of security, in that place of calm courage, or in the place of experiencing love. So how we do is like just not explaining the chakras, just not fixing the chakras. We are actually allowing you to nurture states that will help the chakras. And then the chakras in turn will help the state, and your chakras and the state will help your life. So that is how we work with people, because we believe in creating, as I mentioned, it's just not a feel good experience that we want. Of course, you would have one, you would definitely have as long as you're meditating. But we also want you to have a very good life. We also want you to kind of nurture that state, and we want the state to become an everyday part and parcel of your life. So we are integrating the science of the chakra and the state and the philosophy and the nurturing of that state in order to create a very beautiful life that will again keep those chakras in balance, keep you in that state. Right now, the chakras are imbalanced, your state is suffering, and life is filled with problems and challenges. That whole thing has to be reversed with meditations, practices, deep processes, and definitely manifest. If somebody is listening over here and somebody is thinking, okay, my chakra is not balanced and what should I do? I would definitely highly, highly recommend the Manifest 3-hour process that happens every second Sunday, and it connects people on different time zones. So it happens all over the world. So it's virtual. So wherever you are, you can join. And I'm sure we can add that link as well.
Please, again, what's it called?
Manifest.
Perfect.
Manifest. It's for each of the month. It is with one particular chakra. So we cover 12 chakras in this manifest.
Perfect. We'll add the link. Which of the 12 chakras are you working with? Is it from the Earth star and above, or is it anything around the body as well?
Earth and above. Starting from the Mooladhara, goes to a Sahasrara, all the 10 in between.
Perfect. Now, in regards to this, quickly on the Kundalini side of things again, a lot of research would suggest that most people, at least many people, are operating quote unquote in the lower chakras. They're stuck in the physical realm of separation. Would it be right to say that the majority of the focus is at the base or stuck at the base? And if we were to, obviously we need balance and coherence, but would it be so that if we could lift the energy up to the higher centers, we could activate parts of the brain and nervous system that may make us so-called superhuman if we were to use prana correctly?
There's definitely a huge science to this, Dr. Espen. The thing when we do lead people to powerful awakened states, the Kundalini that is in the mystic energy, or right now science is talking about it as the ionized cerebrospinal fluid. So when that rises from the base, when it goes up, as it moves higher and higher, that is when you experience very powerful states in consciousness. And our programs, it's just not to kind of be spiritually, it's such a beautiful experience, right? To be in bliss, to be in costless love, to be in limitless joy, to be in oneness, to be in witness consciousness. They're powerful, incredible experiences. It's just not the beauty of being in that state for a few minutes and then getting back to the earth plane, but it's just to kind of nurture the necessary wisdom, the practices, the meditations, the freedom to kind of become part and parcel of one's life. And when this Kundalini rises into your brain, and the Sahasrara is like 1,000-petaled lotus. And I don't know if you have seen the picture of Buddha. It is like little clusters. It's not the hair. I'm sure it should be with Buddha's hair, but that's not the hair we're talking about in the pictures that we see of Buddha. It is the nerve clusters of the Sahasrara chakra that is all illumined. These are basically neurons, the nerve clusters that is in different parts of the brain. When this Kundalini, the mystic serpent energy, or the ionized cerebrospinal fluid gets into your Sahasrara and lights it up, you experience very powerful states of oneness. Of course, to be in that state even for a few minutes is incredibly powerful. It changes the way you look at life. It changes every experience. But what Sri Krishnaji and I are very clear is, it must come with its insights, realizations, awakening, learning, freedom, liberation, in order to be in that state and also to be in life, and to kind of want him to see the impact of that state on life.
I love that you speak to this, because I agree, it's not the experience once off and I had a kind of a Kundalini awakening and then back to the rat race, but it's really a lifetime of practice and integration so we can learn to live and vibrate from this frequency.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned the ionized cerebrospinal fluid, because that's a lot of science that have come out in the last 5 years or so. When, for example, what we see is that when we do meditation and certain types of breathing, we pull in the belly, contract the mula bandha, we squeeze at the base of the spine, and we can actually push the cerebrospinal fluid into the brain. We can see the vibration of the pineal gland and actual, change to the physiology in the brain, which is, and I want to just quickly ask on this, because this is something that's really interesting. Some science would say, and this is probably from your lineage, that if you can get enough of that energy into the brain, the ionized cerebrospinal fluid that you're talking about, you may be able to secrete very powerful chemicals from the brain, activate the pineal and pituitary circuit, which again says, on the metaphysical side of things, that is activating the Sahasrara, the 1,000-petal lotus antenna to consciousness. What are your thoughts on, if we were to be able to do that? Do you believe there's a connection between the cerebrospinal fluid into the brain, the ionized results, and the connection to the crown chakra accordingly?
Well, absolutely, yes. It is activating the Sahasrara chakra. It is activating that axis, the pineal, pituitary, and the hypothalamus axis. It changes your brain chemistry, it changes the neurobiology of the brain, it changes the neural wiring that is happening in your brain. So you are in an altered state of consciousness. You can be in that state for some time. Yeah, many people be in that state, move into that state very often with the practices. And it changes the brain. It creates a new everything about it. Like, it's right now, most of the organs in your body are floating in huge amount of stress chemicals, and that changes. It changes into kind of, moving into that place of incredible stillness, silence, peace. And these are words I would still say, but the experience is very different from these words. And there are different chemicals that's getting secreted in the body. All that is happening, yes.
Quickly on the pineal gland, third eye.
Third eye.
What have you seen?
What have you?
What have you seen and what do you know about the pineal gland, the
The
third eye?
third eye region, or the third eye chakra, is the Agnya chakra. And when this Agnya, it is actually the command center. Agnya means command. When this chakra is activated, that is when people experience states of being a witness. So one of the important element of meditation is to bring awareness, depending on the meditation. But one of a core meditation is to being able to bring awareness. And awareness is to being able to see without aversion and attachment and non-judgmental seeing that has to happen. And people put in a lot of practice to do it. They do it. But when this third eye region is activated, awareness is happening. You move into this powerful witness consciousness, ability to see every thought as though it is a very slow moving thought. Right now, thoughts are like this. You don't even realize what you're thinking. It's gone. And the next thought, it's a stream of thoughts. But to being able to step back and to observe everything in that total space of total detachment, no judgment, no aversion, no attachment, to being able to see every thought arise and cease and arise and cease. We kind of, in this field of awakening to witness consciousness, we pushed people into the witness consciousness. So, and for these people who had those powerful experiences in the room, when they got back home, awareness is not a struggle. Right now, we are struggling with the practice of awareness, to being able to see every thought very clearly, to be able to see detached, to create a distance between you and that which you're observing. All that is possible when you are in the witness consciousness. And that happens when your third eye chakra gets activated. And just to watch every thought is incredibly blissful.
I think it's so wonderful that science has finally started to catch up with what the ancient traditions have been teaching.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful that, 10 years back, or like even 12 years back, when we used to travel and teach the world, it used to be like very small pockets of people who are seekers for some reason. They are seekers because feeling dejected with life, or seekers because, having had some glimpse of some experience. They used to fill the all. But today it is very different. People from normal walks of life, parents, children, it's like young children, young parents, to be parents, that's one. Then professionals to manage this, wanting to manage this stress, they all are resorting to having these powerful experiences in consciousness, learning, wisdom, teachings, to nurture a beautiful state, and to kind of, just not to do the practices and to be in that space where, they can live life. So the limitation that was there long ago, all those, barriers have broken, and people filling the hall today are people who are in the world, who want to create a better life for themselves, who want to create a better world for their family and friends.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can put our children through the standard education, or we can put them through the oneness movement. We can put them into the field of awakening and teach them
These are something that everybody has to learn. We have young people, and right now I'm in Turkey actually. So right now in India, there is a journey that's happening for young children to learn beautiful states, to practice meditations. There's one more coming up one is Nordic in Sweden for youth. Definitely we want to teach children, because the problem with many is how strong their inner world is connected already. It's not a problem. It's a problem in the sense it takes a little more effort. Not that it is you have to be stuck in it forever. But if you're having children, young children, it's so beautiful to nurture beautiful states in the beginning. When that becomes the foundation, then they're not moving into suffering. It's just not suffering. It's just not the discomfort of suffering, but all that it brings along with it. The addiction to suffering, the disconnection from life, the more complications that you are kind of complicated, your life is becoming because of your state of suffering. So it is so much more than just what meets one's eye in terms of what suffering and stress does.
Okay. Now we need to know, where do we go to learn more? I want to learn about your upcoming events, the online stuff, and where to go to find out more.
As I mentioned earlier, people just starting meditations don't know where to start. Definitely use the Soul Sync as the guided meditation. It's powerful. It's possible. You're not lost. You know where you are. You know what you need to do. It is guided. The Serene Mind practice is a practice that I would highly, highly recommend every time you move into stress. And if it's a stressful day, do it many times, because it's just a 3-minute practice. So these are readily available for you. Manifest is focused on the chakras. I'm so glad that you asked the question about the chakras. And Manifest is focused on the chakras. It's actually the link between chakra, state, and life. So that's why it's manifest. You will manifest security or you will manifest love. But so much is dependent on your state and the chakra. They're all tied together. So manifest is every month it happens on the second Sunday in different timelines based on the time zones. You can check which one you want to join. And it is focused on the 12 chakras and you can join in at any point. So you don't need to start at the first. You can join in anytime you want. So that is manifest. The third thing that I would definitely like to talk about is a virtual summit, which is Oneness Global Virtual Summit that is going to happen in July between 18th and 20th of July 2025. It is a 3-hour summit for 3 days, virtual, online. You can connect from everywhere and anywhere. It is to dissolve stress and create abundance by living in a beautiful state. So you dissolve stress and you create abundance of love, abundance of joy, abundance of wealth. You are creating it, having dissolved your stress. So if you have a friend or a family who's really wanting to create, a beautiful partner relationship or who was wanting to create wealth and who's struggling, and this is something that you can highly, highly recommend. It is free of cost, available for everyone, and it is available, I think, at least in 2 time zones to connect to the different parts of the world. And it is 3 hours, 3 days. Wherever you are, you can join it. It is a Oneness Global Summit, dissolve stress and create abundance.
Do we
July
find that
18th to 20th, yes.
18th to 20th of July. So the website is theonenessmovement.org. So that's theonenessmovement.org. Is that where we find these links as well?
Yes.
And we'll put them in the show notes.
Absolutely, yes.
Wonderful. Sri Preethaji, I got one last question for you, if I may.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I want you now to imagine that you are on the world stage. Every sentient being alive has gathered, watching, tuning in to your message. When you're ready, please do share. What is your message to the world right now?
When human beings live in suffering, they create a world that is divided, that is conflicted. If you can become free of suffering, nurture a beautiful state in your consciousness, you're actually contributing to a peaceful and a more beautiful world. And I think the world needs it today.
Namaste.
Namaste.